Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Shivaya Krishna Srimad Bhagavatam Swami Tiramane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadane Nirvashesha Shalipari Pashtapsadesha Tadane. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Saraswati Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Great from Srimad Bhagavatam 9, chapter 24, verse 35. Iti tasyam sa'adaya.
Iti tasyam sadaya.
Garbam suryodevam
Garbam suryodevam garbha.
Sadhya kumara sandhya yagye.
Sadhya kumara sandhya
Vidya eva bhaskara.
Vidya eva bhaskara. Iti tasyam sadaya. Garbam suryodevam garbha. Sadhya kumara sandhya Vidya eva bhaskara.
Iti tasyam sa'adaya.
Iti tasyam sadaya.
Garbam suryo divam gataha.
Garbam suryo divam gataha.
Satyah kumara sanjajne.
Satyah kumara sanjajne.
Vidya eva bhaskara.
Vidya eva bhaskara.
Iti tasyam sa'adaya.
Iti tasyam sadaya.
Garbam suryo divam gataha.
Garbam suryo divam gataha.
Satyah kumara sanjajne.
Satyah kumara sanjajne.
Vidya eva bhaskara.
Vidya eva bhaskara. Iti tasyam sadaya. Garbam suryo divam gataha. Satyah kumara sanjajne. Vidya eva bhaskara.
Iti, in this way, tasyam,
Under
sangha,
Adaya,
discharging semen, garbam,
pregnancy,
surya,
sangha,
divam, in the celestial planets, return,
sadhya, immediately,
Mara, was born, Vidya, second, Eva, like
Bhaskara, sun god.
Translation: after saying this, the sun god discharged semen into the womb of Prita and then returned to the celestial kingdom. Immediately thereafter, from Kunti a child was born who was like the second sun god. Because Kunti feared people's criticism with great difficulty, had to give up her affection for her child. Unwilling, she packed the child in a basket let it float down the waters of the river. O Maharaj, her great-grandfather, the pious and chivalrous King Bhanu, later married Kunti. Vrida Sarma, the king of Karusha, married Kunti's sister Shrutadeva, and from her womb Danta Bakra was born. Having been cursed by the sages headed by Sanaka, Danta Bakra had formerly been born as the son of Diti, named Hiranyaksha. King Drishtaketu, the king of Akekaya, married Srutakirti, another sister of Kunti's. Srutakirti had 5 sons led by Sampardana. To the room of Raj Adidevi, another sister of Kunti's, Jayasena got 2 sons named Vinda and Anuganda. Similarly, the king of the Jedi state married Srutasravya. That king's name was Gamarosha. The son of Srutasravya was Sisupala, whose birth is already described in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vasudev's brother, named Devabhaga, had 2 sons born of his wife, Kamsa. Now these 2 sons were Chitraketu and Brihadbala. Vasudev's brother, named Devasara, married Kamsavati, by whom he got 2 sons named Suvira and Kusuman. Kamka, by his wife Kamka, he got 3 sons named Baka, Satyajit, and Purujit. King Sunja, by his wife Rastra Palika, begot sons headed by Pursha and Durmarsha. King Shamaka, by his wife Suramuni, begot two sons named Harikesha and Hiranyaksha. Thereafter, King Vatsaka, by the wife of his wife Misrakeshi, who was an Apsara, begot sons headed by Parika. Parika by his wife Durvakshi begot Taksha, Pushkara, Shala, and so on. From Samika in the womb of his wife Sudamani came Sumitra, Arjuna, Pala, and other sons. King Anaka by his wife Karnika begot two sons named Virjadama and Jaya. And Devaki, Puravi, Rohini, Bhadra, Madhura, Rochana, Hila, and others are wives of Anaka, Mundavi, Vasudeva. Among them all, Devaki was the chief. Vasudeva, by the womb of his wife Rohini, begot sons such as Bala, Yada, Sharana, Gurmada, Vipula, Dhruva, Kita, and others. And the Pauravi came 12 sons, including Buddha, Subhadra, Bhadrabahu, Gurmada, and Bhadra. Nanda, Upananda, Kritaka, Sura, and others were born from the womb of Madhira. Bhadra, or Kaushalya, gave birth to only one son named Keshi. Vasudeva by another of his wives, whose name was Roshna, begot Asta, among Buddha and other sons, and by his wife named Ila, begot sons headed by Balka, all of whom were chief personalities in the dynasty of Bhadu. From the room of Ritadevi, one of the wives of Anupraduna, became a son named Krishna. The sons of Shantadeva, another wife of Vasudeva, were Sama, Prasita, and others. Vasudeva also had a wife named Upadeva, from whom came 10 sons headed by Rajanya, Kalpa, and Varsha. From Sri Deva, another wife came 6 sons headed by Vasu, Vamsa, and Suvamsa. Let's see, the Vasudeva in the womb of Deva Rakshita, 9 sons were born headed by Gada. Vasudeva was religion personified, also had a wife named Sahadeva, by whose womb he got 8 sons headed by Shruta and Apara. The 8 sons born of Sahadevi were Prabhupada and Sutta, such as Prabhupada and Sutta begot, were exact incarnations of the 8 Vasus in the heavenly planets. Vasudeva also begot 8 highly qualified sons to the womb of Devaki. These included Kirtima, Sushena, Bhadrasena, Raju, Samardana, Bhadra, and Samparshana, controller and serpent incarnation. The 8th son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna. The highly fortunate Subhadra, the one daughter, was their grandmother. Purport, the 55th verse says, Swayam Eva Kila, indicating that Krishna, the 8th son of Devaki, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is not an incarnation. Although there is no difference between the Supreme Personality Godhead party and its incarnation, Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the complete Godhead. Incarnations is only a certain percentage of the potencies of Godhead. The complete Godhead is Krishna himself, who appeared as the 8th son of Devaki. So here we have a description of the dynasty of Yaduvanya here, through the wives of Vasudeva, and then we have at the end here the wives are the sons arising from Devaki, and then finally we get Balarama appearing and Krishna. So when Krishna comes, it says, Astamastu Tayor Asi Swayameva Harikila. So this Swayameva Hari phrase is used, as with Swayam Bhagavan, to indicate a great difference between the appearance of Krishna and everyone else. Of course, he's obviously different from the other sons, who were not Supreme Lord at all. But Krishna is also different from other forms of the Lord, who are authorized forms, such as Brahma and Shrima and Rama, etc. So, therefore, to distinguish Krishna from the others, he is called Swayam. Swayam Bhagavan, here Swayam Hari. As Prabhupada has indicated in the purport here, this means that Krishna manifests all of the qualities of the Lord in full. So in that sense, he is the Lord himself. This does not make the other forms of the Lord not the Lord. They are all one. There is the Supreme Lord also, with a different form. But in that particular form, he does not display his qualities to the same degree. So the example is given of a lamp. A lamp has light. And if we have a dark room, the little beacon will light up the room and we can see things. If we take a big fire, again, it can light up things as well. But it also has another capacity, and that is, if you're cold on a cold day, you can get warm with that fire. If you try to get warm with a little lipa, it's bigger. So because it's bigger, it has a different function, and it warms you up as well. But essentially, the two are one, because even with a little lipa, if you light a fire, you can burn down the whole town. So whether you have a little fire, big fire, match, or whatever, it'll burn down the same, essentially it's the same fire. But in one form, it manifests different qualities, the one fire, so that you can keep warm at night. So in other words, the Supreme Lord manifests in different forms, who are like different sizes of fires. So we have little candles, bigger candles, and bigger candles, and bigger fires, and bigger fires. Then we have the biggest one of all, like the sun. That's Krishna. But essentially, they're all the same. Then we have another type of fire, that's a spark. That is kind of the same thing, but also a little different, because when the spark goes away from the fire, then it gets dim and then it dies. But not the same. But it's related, so it's still fiery in one sense. So this is like the jiva. The jiva is compared in the Upanishads to a spark. Yeah? Because it has consciousness, like light, fire, etc. But at the same time, the spark has its origin in the fire, and if it wanders away from the fire too much, then it cools down and it loses its quality. So it's dependent on the Supreme Lord for his powers. So that is the jiva. So therefore, we have these different types of light: the spark, the little flame, and the big flame. So when we come to the biggest of all, then this is Krishna. So he's like the sun. And the other forms are essentially the same, but they do not manifest all of the qualities. They manifest particular amounts of the qualities according to their function. So we have Purusha avatars who manifest quite a bit of power because they create, maintain, and pervade the whole material world. This distinguishes them from the jiva. We have some forms of the Lord, like the sages, like Vasudev, or Kapila, or Dattatreya, or even Hamsa, the bird avatar. Their main function is to give teachings. So there is significantly less powers manifest in those forms. Then we get other forms who manifest considerable powers, like Varaha, Shrama, Rama, etc. So because of this, the different forms of the Lord are classified into different groups according to the amounts of powers that manifest. And at the top we have Narasimha, Rama, and then Krishna. So these are called Purna avatars. They manifest significantly more powers and qualities than the others. And of course, it's maybe natural. We can see that in this material world, who is popular. So Rama is very popular, and there's a whole work dedicated to him, Ramayana, and people hear about his pastimes an awful lot. So he displayed lots of qualities and pastimes and powers, etc. And in some sections of India, like Andhra Pradesh, Nrsimhadev is very popular. So then we have many temples to Nrsimhadev also. But Krishna is considered to be topmost. And the whole Bhagavatam is dedicated to Krishna, to glorify the wonderful qualities of Krishna. So he manifests more qualities than even Nrsimha or Ramchandra. So, but they're all Bhagavan, one entity, manifested in different forms. Just like we can take one light, and then we can light another candle, another candle, another candle, another candle. It's essentially the same. But Krishna is the original, and Krishna is the greatest manifestation of all. So therefore he is dedicated by the word Swayam, Swayam Hari, and Swayam Bhagavan. So when a form of the Lord, but all these forms, because they are Bhagavan, they are eternal. They can't be born and die, because they're spiritual, and they're the Supreme Lord. They don't have bodies like jivas, which are material. So, the Lord appears in the material world. When he does so, he is called Avatar. But we should distinguish Krishna from the others. So another name we give for him is Avatari, and he is the source of all the avatars. He is the one who manifests more qualities than the Lord. So therefore we have two words to distinguish Krishna from other Avatari and Swayam Bhagavan. Though they're all Bhagavan, he is Swayam Bhagavan, or Avatar and Avatari. So though he is the source of all the avatars that appear in the material world, still, he also appears in the material world. So sometimes we call him Avatar because Avatar means to descend into the material world. In either case, all of these forms, they appear in the material world. They also have their counterparts in the spiritual world, eternally. So we have Krishna and Rama and Shrima and all these different forms, eternally existing in the spiritual world. And they simply manifest in the material world by the will of the Supreme Lord only, not by karma, not taking birth, etc. So they all come with their particular purposes. Some of them come to teach, the sages like Kapila. Others come to carry out certain functions of protecting, like Varaha lifting the Bhumandala out of the Kavada Ocean. And some come to protect the devotees, like Narasimha comes to protect Prahlad. And when they do so, of course, they carry that function. The other function is to display the wonderful nature of the Supreme Lord to the capacity they have in the avatar, by which the jivas in the material will become inspired to worship. So, in this way we get different avatars, of course, glorified in the Das Avatar Stotra. We have different avatars glorified because of the wonderful, attractive pastimes they carry out. And then we have Krishna. So he comes also, of course, to carry out certain functions of destroying different demons like Kamsa, etc. And restoring Dharma and teaching, as he teaches Bhagavad Gita, Uddhava Gita, whatever, teaches different things. And to, again, attract the different living entities by his wonderful pastimes and his form and his qualities. And, of course, his other major function is to respond to his devotees who are longing for his presence and longing to serve him. Those devotees in the material world who long for him, he responds to them, and therefore he performs his pastimes. And those devotees enter into his pastimes in different forms and participate. After which they go to the spiritual world. So, therefore, Krishna comes with this mission of primarily expressing his joy in relationship with his devotees. And through that, he displays his most significant qualities, which are all sweet or material. The other things like destroying demons or whatever, that's power. But the special qualities of Krishna is his sweet form, his sweet devotees, his sweet pastimes, and his sweet flute. So these things are very special, unique to Krishna, and he displays them, particularly in Vrindavan. So that display takes place in relationship with his loving devotees in Vrindavan. So it's got nothing to do with teaching about Dharma or anything like that. It's got nothing to do with the killing demons. It has to do with the relationship or the display of rasa. So this does not mean that the other forms of the Lord do not display rasa. So there is a rasa between Prahlad and Nrsimhadev, or any worshipper and Nrsimhadev, or between Brahma and his devotees, etc. But the relationship between Krishna and his devotees is particularly intimate, because they do not regard Krishna as Supreme Lord. So that relationship is called Madhurya because of that sweetness. And it takes different forms. It can be Dasya, Sakya, Vasalya, or Madhurya, any of these. That's another unique feature of Krishna. The other forms do not display unlimitedly these different rasas. Rama has Vasalya rasa with his parents, and that's all. Nobody else. He has Sakya rasa slightly with his brothers, and nobody else. He has Madhurya rasa with Sita, and nobody else. That Krishna has Sakya rasa with unlimited cowherd boys. We're unable to count the number of cowherd boys who accompany Krishna. And when he goes to the fields to play, he has unlimited servants, Dasya. He has unlimited elder cowherd women and men who act like his parents and display Vasalya rasa. And he has unlimited gopis who display Madhurya rasa with Krishna. And all with the idea that Krishna is simply the friend or the lover or the child, etc., without seeing him as God at all. So that is the Madhurya aspect of Krishna. And those activities are displayed not in pastimes of killing demons, but in pastimes of affection. So we get pastimes like the Damodar Lila or Rasa Lila. So in these pastimes we get this very, very great display of rasa, intimate rasa with his devotees. So this is the primary function of Krishna when he makes his appearance in the material world. So all of this is described in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. So it is through these descriptions that we begin to appreciate the beauty of Krishna, his Madhurya Rupa, from these descriptions, and his wonderful lila pastimes, which are very sweet, like Damodar Lila, etc., in the 10th canto. And all the wonderful devotees. So we see that in the first part of the 10th canto, until about chapter 14 or so, Mother Yasoda is glorified as the greatest devotee. So, because of her great affection for Krishna, so much affection she can even tie up Krishna. So, there's great glorification of the different types of devotees. And then we have a glorification of the friends in the next chapters, up until about chapter 26 or 7. Krishna with his friends playing. And then we have glorification of the gopis from chapter 29 to 33, and the chapters of the Rasa Lila. So this will be a glorification of the devotees who are so attracted to Krishna that they have not only prema, but the prema increases and increases until we get up to Mahabhava. And so that also we hear from the 10th canto Bhagavatam. And then we have his sweet flute. So there's a whole section where the gopis describe the flute of Krishna and how it affects them in different ways. Of course, it is not only the gopis that the flute affects. The cows hear the flute and the calves hear the flute immediately. they become paralyzed and they stop whatever they're doing, and they simply listen to that flute. And even the river suddenly becomes paralyzed and stops flowing. So all objects become affected by that flute sound of Krishna and develop sweet prema. So these sweet aspects of Krishna are described in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. So therefore we have to understand the nature of Krishna in order to worship him. And through that understanding, our worship becomes more affectionate. If we can understand the qualities, wonderful qualities of Krishna, when we worship him, we can worship him with great affection. And of course, we have other aids as well. So not only we have hearing the Bhagavatam to understand about Krishna, then we have the chanting of the name. The name is none different from the Lord. So by chanting the name, those qualities and the form and the pastimes that we hear from the Bhagavatam, they manifest within the name itself. So gradually the form, the qualities, and the Leela of Krishna manifest within chanting the holy name. So we hear the Bhagavatam and we chant the holy name. And then we have that extra bonus side is we have the deity. So in the form of the deity, we can directly serve the Lord by offering different things, just as Mother Yasoda offers to Krishna the different things she cooks, like the sweets, etc. So we can serve Krishna just like the inhabitants of Vrindavan serve Krishna through the deity form. And we can see that form directly in the Murti. So there are many ways in which we can advance our realization of Krishna. But very important, of course, is this Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is considered to be the king of scriptures because it reveals this form of Krishna, most attractive form of Krishna, the sweet form of Krishna, by which we can begin to relish it through the name and deity, etc.
Whereas you see, all the incarnation come from the Krishna. All the incarnation come from Krishna. Sometimes we see that the incarnation, like we take the example of Murali and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself making some differentiation that you should worship Krishna among the Rama, but on the same only. Both incarnations are the same, like Rama and Krishna.
Yes.
Murali was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu giving Murali not worship Rama, but worship Krishna.
Yeah.
But there's no difference between Krishna and Rama.
Well, the difference is the rasa. So it is sweeter with Krishna. Because he manifests particular qualities of sweetness, so therefore the rasa is sweeter.
But Murali wasn't a Daisar or something, right?
Yeah.
Even he was away, he is considered as Hanuman.
Yeah.
Even in the wine, he changed his mood,
Yeah.
he started worshiping other things. Still he was worshiping the same rasa. That's
Yeah.
it. But rasa didn't change.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to change. It can be Madhurya. So we have persons who are Vatsalya with Lord Chaitanya, his parents. We have people who are Sakya with Chaitanya and Nityananda, the Dwadasa Gopals, Kaviraj Thakur, etc. So it's Sakya rasa, not Madhurya rasa. But it's all Madhurya in the sense that it is intimate. That. Of course, we find that in the associates of Lord Chaitanya, not were all worshippers of Krishna. So we had some worshippers of Rama like Marigupta and Anupama, etc. And then we find others who were other associates like Sugriva, etc. Some associates. So the explanation is that some are Vishnu forms, Shiralakshai Vishnu, or Aniruddha Pradumna from Dwarka, etc. So the explanation is that in the form of Lord Chaitanya, he attracted not only the associates of Krishna, but associates of all forms. And they became participants in Lord Chaitanya's Leela in order to increase their attraction for Krishna. Even though they were with other persons like Pradumna and that, but they give the sweet aspect. And of course, we get the associates of Rama, etc. And then they develop more appreciation for Krishna.
But all didn't come to this. Those who were in Rama's pastime, all didn't come in Krishna's pastime. This particular person came.
Well, maybe not. Well, those that we hear mentioned, like in Gorgon and Ashtibi, are there. That's only the main people. We don't know. There could be others also who were there that we don't know about. Okay. It's like the main associates of Krishna are mentioned there, but not all of them as well. Because when the Lord comes, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna comes, all the other avatars are with him anyway. So therefore, we can say technically all of us devotees also come.
But their rasas are different. They are Ram. They dealing with Ram is different from dealing with Krishna.
Yeah, it is Dasya Rasa with the Aishwarya mood. With Krishna that becomes Madhurya. So then the whole explanation is that Lord Chaitanya comes to take these other devotees of other forms and transform their mood of Dasya Aishwarya into greater attraction for Krishna, which is more than Aishwarya, Madhurya.
Madmana Bhava Prabhupada Shloka, Bhava Krishna Shloka, Prabhupada says, 1865. A devotee should always remember only Krishna, not even the form of Narayana or Narayana. It's very particular. A devotee of highest standard is only remember Krishna. The same form which he exhibited before Arjuna comes in the form. When we worship so many other forms, might not get distracted there.
Well, yeah, the main object is Krishna. Of course, we see the Lord Chaitanya himself worship Krishna, but then he would go to other temples as well, whatever. And he recited prayers in the Srimad also, etc., in Puri. So, or he would hear the story of Srimad from Bhagavatam, etc. So it's not that they are rejected, but the emphasis there is upon the fact that Krishna is Swami Bhagavan, so he's the main object of worship. Some people, they will simply worship Krishna. Others may worship Krishna, but they will also worship others as well. But in any case, the main object should be Krishna.
Maharaj, see, and some Puranas explain about the Lord Nrsimha's pastime like with the Lakshmi Devi. So this past, all this is in Purana, so is it authorized like pastime?
We have to see the Purana. It was an authorized Purana.
Because we see, if you go to Navadip, there are so many pastimes happening in Navadip. You go to Ahmedabad, some pastime in different place. So how to see this? Is exactly the same or?
Well, if they're authorized by Scripture, and authorized Scripture, fine, we can accept those pastimes.
Sometimes Acharyas, they revelation is good.
They may have revelations also, as long as it's non-contradictory to the scriptural descriptions and the process of the different avatars.
Maharaj, Balram, he belongs to Vishnu Tattva, Lord Balram. So, why we don't see people in general worshipping Balram, like for example, Rama, Nrsimha, Krishna? Why he was not worshipped?
Generally, he does not display much power when he's with Krishna. So, actually, he does have a Ras Leela, etc., and many other things, but it's not very evident because of Krishna's prominence. He gives prominence to Krishna. So therefore, Krishna becomes more famous.
We go to the next temple, the Ram temple.
Yeah.